Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to Minutes of Audio. Today we're going to be talking about our top 10 albums from 2021. If you like what we have to say, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. To get things started, we're going to talk about our 5 honorable mention albums. Carl, what was yours?
So first I had Nurture by Porter Robinson. This this barely didn't make the cut for top 10. It was a coin flip, but I figure I may as well put in the honorable mention. My second one is Call Me When You Get Lost by Tyler the Creator. Uh, I thought this was a really solid rap record, and it kind of reminded me of what Tyler was going for on Flower Boy. But I think it's definitely good enough for an honorable mention, but it wasn't really good enough to hit my top 10. The next is Donda by Kanye. This I don't even think would have made my top 15. I don't even know if it would have made my top 20. I just really appreciate the kind of the direction that Kanye went, especially after Jesus is King. I feel like it was ambitious enough to where I had to give it credit. The next album is kind of similar, Comfort to Me. It was more so, it was a traditional pop, or not pop, a punk record. And most traditional punk records that come out nowadays are, to be honest, really shit, especially by new bands. So it was refreshing to hear one that sounded kind of up to par and really solid. Uh, and lastly, I have Any Shape You Take by Indigo D'Souza. This may have been my most listened to record this year. But yeah, I have to be unbiased, so it didn't crack the top 10, but I just think it's extremely catchy, and I love almost every song on it. So
Um,
that's mine. How about yours?
just so everyone knows, both of these honorable mentions are not in a specific order. It's just, there's no numbers attached to them.
Yeah, we're just these albums that we think deserve at least some recognition.
Um, One of mine was the Dry Cleanings album, New Long Long, I believe it was called. It was a good post rock album, and you don't get much good ones nowadays. The next one was Pay by Low. I don't have too much to say about it. It was kind of boring at times, but it was also interesting enough as to where I did want to give it credit. Next is Taylor's Red album that she re-released. Uh, I really like how she reimagined them to sound. They don't sound completely different, but they don't sound the same. The new tracks were a nice addition, and it was a good fuck you to her old record label, so I wanted to include it. Next is Call Me If You Get Lost by Tyler the Creator. Uh, I pretty much agree with everything Carl said about it. Lastly is the Angels and Airwaves album, Life's Forms. This one is completely biased. It's probably not that good, but I still think I like Tom DeLonge. And while listening to this album, it was fun to imagine what the songs would have sounded like if it had the other members of Blink. But it was still good enough to stand on its own, especially if you're a fan of Tom DeLonge. Okay,
So
so
now we'll get into the top tens, right?
yep,
Do you want to start, or I mean I could start. I don't really care.
let's flip a coin. Heads or
Oh
tails?
shoot. Give me heads.
Hey Siri, flip a coin. It's heads.
Oh shoot. That means I start.
Yeah.
All right. So at number 10, I have King's Disease 2 by Nas. I feel like this was weirdly a real return to form for him, but also he showed that he could adapt to a lot of new sounds and really bring that old school style that we all love him for into more new school production. And I found like it was a great mesh between the two. Definitely one of his best projects since it was written.
Yeah, that I have that one on my list, but it's a little higher up. My number 10 is the new Brockhampton album, Roadrunner, New Light or some shit. But it's I haven't listened to the previous Brockhampton works, but this album really made me interested in their previous work. It doesn't sound too traditional, but
Hmm.
it also sounds like it's using popular sounds, but in a good way. It's
Yeah.
definitely a good listen, and some of the guitar on it's really good. I don't know if it's sampled or if somebody played it, but Also, the Danny Brown and JPEG Mafia features on this album were really good. So yeah, that was my number 10. What's your number 9?
Um, at number 9, I had a Haram. I really like what this group did with Alchemist. Um, it's weird. The Alchemist had a great year this year, but this album in particular, I felt like it was standout. His beats on this thing didn't really sound like what he's normally used to producing. It has sort of an experimental tone to it, but holy shit did he come through. And the lyricism, man, some of the shit they say on this is dark, it's grimy, but damn, I don't. It's a fantastic record.
Yeah, I should probably check that one out because I was a huge fan of his EP that he put out this
Yeah,
year.
you'd like it.
But number 9 on my list is the JPEG Mafia album LP. Um, I I like JPEG Mafia. This album is a bit overrated, but I had to include it because it does have a interesting selection of sounds all throughout it, and no
Hmm.
two songs sound quite the same. And plus, it's JPEG Mafia, so you have to put it on. So here was my number 9.
My number 8 was Bright Green Field by Squid. Uh, it's a post-punk album. I mean, I love the post-punk sound, so I mean, maybe it's a little bit of bias, but I feel like they really did it justice. It reminded me a lot of Television, yeah, the people who made Marquee Moon. Reminded me a lot like that record, at least with his voice and some of the way they sort of composed the instrumental sections. I don't know if there's like one negative thing I can say about the record. I'm really excited to see what they have to make in the future.
So so my number 8 was Cake Pop 2 by Cake Pop. This is another one where I'm extremely biased in because I love Dylan Brady, but I still think I listened to it a lot this year and I really did enjoy it. It has a bunch of catchy songs. Some of the songs are short, which I like. We have a review about it, so if you want to hear more what I have and Carl has to say about it, then you
Yeah,
can
check
watch
that
it.
out.
I know Carl didn't like it as much as me.
It's the death of hyperpop, man.
You know what? Okay, so, what's your number 7?
I got By the Time I Will Get to Phoenix by Injury Reserve. Honestly, the genre of experimental and sort of abstract hip hop has, in some way, like I haven't felt like I really listened to an album quite like this one in that genre. I feel like this is going to be one of those albums that we look at 15, 20 years from now and feel like this one really pushed experimental hip hop forward. It's so dark, it's so kind of unnerving, some of the tracks on this, that I don't know. I was not expecting Injury Reserve to drop an album like this. It really, they kind of knocked this one out of the ballpark.
So, my number 7 album on this was Black Country New Road. I didn't listen to it as much as I wanted to throughout the year. I listened to it a lot when it came out, and it does sound reminiscent of Slint by Spiderland, or Spiderland
Yeah.
by Slint, but it does it with kind of charming lyrics and modern lyrics. It sounds very modern.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your number 6?
I got The Turning Wheel for number 6. I know a lot of people are hyping up this album a lot, and I think it did live up to the hype. In my opinion, the first half of it isn't as strong as the second half. I would actually say the second half of this record is akin to like a 98 or maybe even a 99. But I do think the first half kind of brings it down a little bit, and what makes kind of what maybe probably would be my number 1 album of the year. Slot into 6, but either way, this record is fantastic. Besides that first half being just kind of good and not great, I have nothing bad to say about it.
So my number 6 was NASA's King Disease. It was, yeah, like Carl said, it was a return to form for him. It's kind of amazing to see how he dropped like maybe 5 to 7 just trash albums, and then he just drops this.
Man,
I would say
I
what
I got beef with you for that because I think not. I don't know. I think only Nas has like two or maybe even I'd say two bad albums. All the other ones, but I mean, never mind.
I mean I just was going off of popular opinion. I never listened to them.
Oh,
I listened to
eh,
like 4 of his albums.
yeah,
5 now. I
yeah. I
gotta
mean, I
say,
think Nas is the goat, so maybe I'm biased, but no, we can keep that though.
okay. So yeah, I like the Eminem feature on it. Not many people do. The Lauryn Hill feature was amazing. Honestly, all the features on this carried their weight. So, yeah.
Yeah, solid record.
What was your number 5?
Uh, I have the Black Country New Road record. Uh, yeah, I love this thing, and even after it came out, I'm still bumping the songs. It's only like, well, like 5 or 6 tracks long, so it isn't long. All the songs here though are like 6 minutes minimum. One I think is 11. But it doesn't get old, you know, and I think that's the special thing that they were able to do. That also was kind of reminiscent of Slint. You know, they're able to make these really long, drawn out songs, uh, but they
And keep
pack a
your
lot
attention.
into them. Yeah, and keep your attention. Uh, yeah, it's a fantastic record. Definitely deserves number 5.
So my number 5 is Fishmonger by the Underscores. This is a very different album. It's a I call it hyper rock album. We have a review on that one already though, so
Yep,
if you
yep.
want to hear more about what I have to say and Carl has to say, watch that. But to sum it up, it's definitely worth your time to listen to. So
Uh,
what's your number 4?
my fourth one, and we have a review on this one too. I know you won't like it, but it is Sometimes I Might Be Introvert by Little Sims. I I'm still impressed by this record. I'm not as impressed with it when it first came out. It definitely kind of I don't know. It didn't grow on me at all. I think I kind of noticed some flaws with it as time went on, but I still do heavily appreciate the album. Her lyricism on the thing, I feel like is strong and on point. Uh, the beat selections are maybe not perfect, but they all do the job. A lot of soulful music here. Even though the skits sometimes get obnoxious, they still work with the record. I'm still very impressed by this thing till this day. What's your
I
number
honestly,
four?
I really quick.
Or
I tried re-listening to that album in
yeah.
preparation for this, and I just dropped it to like a 70. I don't get
God
why. I
damn.
don't get see the replayability of that. It's so long and boring. Like some of the production's pretty
Hater.
sick, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it's extremely overrated, and it's gonna be another Fiona Apple situation. A year
Stop.
from now, everyone's gonna be like, "Yeah, we were kind of on some shit to like that much."
You're right about the Fiona Apple thing though. I don't hear anyone talking about that album anymore.
Yeah, no, that album's lost to time already. My number 4 album on this is Frailty by uh,
Who even
DL
knows?
something. I liked his other album. This album was definitely more mature musically than his previous album. Um, yeah, it's definitely worth a listen, and one of the better hyperpop albums probably the best hyperpop album that came out this year.
I would agree with that.
So what
Um,
was your number 3? Top 3.
yeah, we're at the top 3 now, boys. It's all.
Should we give it a drum roll?
I don't really have anything I can drum roll on.
I can add one later.
Oh, sure, yeah. Insert the drum roll here. Um, gunshots. Uh,
So you're number 3. I think
I
we have
got.
the same number 3.
We do, we do. I have An Evening with Silk Sonic at 3. So does Josh. Uh, yeah, I mean, well, we have a review on it, so check that out. But even though it's only 9 tracks, really 8 if you don't count the intro. Shoot, I mean, there's not a bad song on here. Every single song is catchy. Instrumentals are tight. Yeah, I mean, I still bump this album to this day. It's they didn't go overboard with it. They kept to what they were good at, and I mean, I don't know. I know some people have the album hasn't for whatever reason been as recognized now on like end of year lists for whatever reason, but
I
I
think
think it's
because it's
fantastic.
too new. Or maybe,
That
do you
may be
think
it.
maybe some of the end of the year lists follow Grammy rules?
You maybe I don't know why they would though. I feel like that's kind of stupid.
Yeah. But
Uh,
yeah, to add on to that album, uh, the bass lines on it still are amazing.
oh
The
yeah,
vocals on it still hit, and even songs that I didn't like in the beginning, like "Fly As Me," I have come around to. It's not my favorite on the album, but I still listen to it.
baseline is fat on that one, dude.
Dude, the best bass line on that album is "Smoking Out the Window," though.
I don't know. I still think "Fly As Me" has the best bass line. It's just so groovy.
It might. So what
Uh,
was your number two?
my number two is "Frailty." I was extremely impressed by this album, especially considering the fact that I'm not a huge fan of hyperpop. I like the genre, but I'm not, obsessed with it. Uh, so when I listened to this thing, I was kind of surprisingly shocked because it took, I guess, the general hyperpop formula and it took it away from, two or three like short songs that are just kind of like a burst of energy and then dissipate. And it adds a lot more longer, more drawn out and complicated tracks in here that I think, at least musically, uh, are just brilliant. Like Search Party is one of them. Movies for Guys. I still repeat these tracks to this day. I love the record. So, yeah, I think it definitely deserves number two.
My
What about
number
you?
two, my number two is Porter Robinson's album "Nurture."
Hmm.
Uh, Everything about this album is extremely well thought out, in my opinion. I love his vocals on it, his production, how it sounds. It sounds weirdly like it is a nature album somehow.
Yeah. No, I get that vibe too.
It took him 5 years to make.
Really?
Uh, yeah, 5 years or 4
Damn.
years, one of the two. But yeah, I thought it was a great album. That was my number two.
So now we're at
Number
the number
one.
one. This is it. Best albums of the year, at least according to us. And for number one, I have Geist by Shannon Lay. This album really didn't make a splash, so like, and I'm kind of disappointed because even it's sort of like a classical folk record. Uh, but damn, it does everything right, or at least everything that I look for in a folk record. This album does correct. Um, Shannon Lay has the perfect voice. Genuinely one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard. Uh, there's one track where she literally just like sings a cappella for like 2.5 minutes before instrumentals kick in. And if anyone else did that, I'd probably skip. But her voice is so good to where I listen to it every single time. There is not one bad song on here. Every single song is great. For me, this is almost like a runaway. So yeah, that has to be my album of the year.
My album of the year is the correct answer. It is the artist formerly known as Kanye West's latest album, Donda. No, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's some pretty shitty songs on here, like two maybe, but I think there's way more good than bad on this album overall. Um, yeah, that's really all I have to say. It's a Kanye album. It's very good. It's gonna be followed up by Donda 2, so there's that.
Yeah, sure it is. That's gonna be scrapped in like three
You know,
months.
you're gonna be scrapped in 3 months. Okay, so
Damn.
anyway, that was the video. If you let us know if you agree or disagree with our opinions in the comments below. And the next video we're gonna have up is gonna be the Weekend Dawn FM review. That should be coming out on Monday. So yeah, Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and see you later.
See ya.